Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at how to create an illustrated graphic like this. Okay. So we will go over some tools, a basic interface of Illustrator, how to create basic shapes, and how to use layers to create a graphic like this. So I will create a new file. Okay. So when you go to File, New, okay, it will ask you what you want to do with your graphic that you're going to create. Is it for the web, for mobile, for print? So I'm using A4 size, which can be found under print. Okay. um, and we're going to start with a A4 size paper to create our illustration. All right. Now the thing with Illustrator is that once you create an illustration, it can be scaled big or small to any size you want. So it's not really necessary to work at a specific scale in the beginning, but if it will help you if you already know what you're doing. So we are creating this for a Thaumatrope. So and then we're going to print it on an A4 size sheet and then cut it off. So A4 works well for that purpose. All right. The next thing we need is an image to trace from. So hopefully you have sketched one of these graphics, or you can find an image online. I'm going to file place, and I'm going to place this crow image that I had sketched and taken a picture of. Okay. So this is this crow image, and then once you place it, we will do it again. So you'll go to File, Place, and then you select the image. Okay, then you click on Place, and then you have to click and drag to decide the size. Okay, and then that image will be placed within that size. So you can then select it, and then you can scale it as big as you want. Okay, now you can stretch it. So if you want to keep the size, then you'll have to shift and drag it. Okay, so you have to be aware of that. It can be stretched. If I go to File, Place, select the crow image and simply click, then it is going to come to the exact size that you have taken the picture of. Okay, and then you can use the Shift key and then drag to proportionately scale it. Now it's going to be proportionate. All right. Now we don't want that image to be selected while we are tracing over it. So in the layers, and if you don't have the layers, okay, if all these tools are off, you can go to Window and then you can look for layers. Okay, all right. Now you can unhide a layer, or you can lock the layer. So now the layer is locked and you cannot do anything with it. Here we can create a new layer, and you can name it if you want, and then we will start working on it. So this is the rectangle tool, and then there is an ellipse and other shapes. So you can start with this, or you can start with a line, or you can start with a pen tool. Okay, so there are multiple ways to get things done. Let us create the eye first. So I'll zoom into the eye, and you can see there's a white circle, a blue circle, a black circle, and again a white circle. All right, so we're going to create all these circles. So I'll start with the ellipse tool, and then you can click and drag to create an ellipse. Okay, the ellipse can be round or elongated depending on how you want to do it. Okay, if you look on the top, if you go to Window, Properties, you get the Properties tab. Okay, in the Properties tab, which is also available here, by the way, on top, there is a fill color to it, which is white, or the fill color here You can change the color of it. It's going to be white for us anyways. Then there is a stroke. So if you see, there's this black stroke to it, and then if you double click, you can change the color of the stroke. Okay, or you can say we don't want stroke, we just want the fill color, and that is what we want, and then it has to be white for us. Alright, and then there's opacity. So if you're tracing, you can then reduce the opacity to say 50%, and then you can see your object through it, so you can decide if you want to make it big or small after creating it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is whenever I create something, I'll put it here. Okay, it's not visible, so I'll put it here, and then maybe I can even change the color temporarily. Okay, then we're going to create the blue one. So I will Control C, Control V this, and then I can simply shift and scale it small and place it where I want it, and this will be the blue color. So you can change the color to blue. Okay, that is done. Then I can Control C, Control V, and then I can make the black one. So I'll scale this small again, place it in the place, and make it black. Okay, and then Control C, Control V for the small white dot. Okay, and then when the objects become very small, it becomes difficult to select, so you'll have to zoom into it and place it in place. You can see that you can rotate it or stretch it, or you can even move the anchor points. You have to be careful about what you're doing. This is again going to be white. Okay, so this one is first, this one is on top, this one is on top, and then the white one is somewhere here. This is going to be on top here. Okay, and then we can change the opacity of all of these to 100%. It's going to be white. The blue one is going to be 100%. The black is going to be 100%, and the white is going to be 100%. Okay, now you can see that this white, if I right click and then this arrange here, so we can move the location of these so they can be on top of each other based on how you want it. So sometimes you may want to send your objects back and forth, and it can be arranged as well, so keep that in mind. Alright, so now all of these are selected. This is the eye. I'm going to go to object, group it, and now you can select the entire group and move it in place. Okay, so the eye part is done. Now what we will focus on is, I'll keep it here, we will work on the beak. Alright, and then I will use the pen tool for it. Okay, so when you're working on tracing like this, if you let us work on the pen tool, right? So if I click and right click, you create a shape. Okay, now if I give it a color, now the shape is blue, and if I create an outline, you can see that we did not close the shape, so it has outline on 3 sides and there's no outline on the 4th side. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind, and then you can then make the outline thick as well. So there is an outline and a fill area. So what we are going to do is use the pen tool to create the beak, and then we don't have to really close this part, it can be open. So I'll click here then I'll click and drag here. Okay, and then when you click and drag, you get something called bezier handles. Okay, and then you can click again, and then you can end your creation. And then this is quite thick, so we will make it thin, and this has to be black, and this has to be light gray color. Okay, and then this is quite thick, so I will increase the thickness of maybe 0.8, 0.08 actually, so 0.07 or maybe 0.1, 0.1. Okay, now this is quite pointed and ours is quite blunt, so if you want to change that, you can click and then keep it clicked, and then you have the access to the anchor point, and this anchor point can be changed. If you just click on it, it becomes a corner. If you click and drag, then it becomes a round. Okay, and then if you want to add a point, if you click on add anchor point, you can add a point here, and then maybe if you want one here. And then there are two arrows. One is to select the entire object, and the other one is to select part of the object. So we can select this and then slightly move the beak up or down, okay, to give it a shape. Okay, now these handles can also be manipulated, but we got that shape, so let us focus on creating this object here. Okay, and then you can scale the whole thing big so it goes inside it. Okay, so this will be staying below. Okay, you have to click and then click and drag. Okay, so click to select the anchor point, and then you can then drag it inside if you want a longer one. Okay, now what we need is this line, so I'm going to click on line tool, so click and drag for the line tool, and then you get a line, and then you can again use the anchor point to change the line to a curve, and then you can simply curve it down. Okay, now we are going to look at this curve. Okay, and if you look at the stroke, let me zoom in. Okay, there's a pan tool and a zoom tool. If you click on the zoom tool and if you hit the alt key, you can zoom out. Then if you simply click, then you zoom in. Look at this line here, it is flat. So if you click here and click on stroke, you can make the cap round also. Okay, so I'll place this here, and that would be the beak. Okay, so I'll place, you can even, I may have to change the beak, so I'm not going to group it, but we can always access the group anyway, so I can group it and then place it in place. Okay, so beak will be here, and then now I will trace the body of the crow, so I'll use the pen tool, or we can even start with the circle. Let us start with the circle, ellipse tool, and then you can click and drag. Okay, and you can see that I don't have a fill color, and then I can change this color to say some other color, so I can actually see the line just for the tracing purposes. Okay, and then I can use this tool to then move things out. So this looks good, and now we need to manipulate this, so this is going to go all the way till here, for example. Alright, and then now we need to add points here to get this shape. So I'll go here and add an anchor point, and then I will need one anchor point for the belly, and then I'll need one anchor point here. Okay, so let us move this anchor point here. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom in here.